The Israeli Army General Staff headquarters and the Ministry of Security in Tel Aviv were damaged as a result of the bombing today by Iran. This is according to Israeli Army Radio. We've been saying for some time on this channel that the Zionist settlers in what is referred to as Israel are not really equipped. They're not really mentally prepared for war of any kind, let alone the war that is being unleashed upon them by the IRGC aerospace forces right now. And the cracks are beginning to show. You see these videos of strikes taking place at all hours of the day, strikes every 60 minutes, every 90 minutes, depending on the day, sometimes even over the past week in shorter intervals, 30 minutes throughout the day. There were strikes taking place by the Iranians against the Zionist entity on certain days. Well, the cracks are beginning to show. The collapse is beginning to take place. Of course, no one can really leave Israel because their airports are shut down. But today was a very, very big indication that things have crossed the threshold and are past a point of no return. Over the past several days, we've seen the Iranians unleash the largest missiles that they have displayed and unveiled at any point up until this week in the war. They have fired dual Sejul missiles in a dusk time assault on the Zionist entity. They have been launching these cluster munition warheads, or they're really submunitions. They're not like cluster munitions. They've been launching these massive submunition warheads, but this time, instead of the little, tiny little explosions, they're high speed, high explosive, heavyweight warheads in these submunitions that are raining down on Israel, that are causing huge craters in the soil of the Zionist entity. And today we saw another massive wave of strikes, okay? On Kuwait, we saw HIMARS batteries being hit in Bubiyan Island. In Bahrain, a U.S. Patriot system in northern Bahrain was hit. ATACMS missile operators were hit. A gathering place for senior U.S. military commanders in the UAE was hit. An Oracle building in the UAE was hit. An Israeli-affiliated ship, the MCS Ishika at Khalifa bin Salman Airport in Bahrain was hit, and locations in Bnei Brak, Petah Tikva, Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan, and Kiryat Shmona were also hit. Also, there were very heavy operations carried out by the Lebanese resistance against the Zionist entity today as well. Now, all of this is to simply say that as the waves of attacks continue, I think we're on wave number like 92 or 93 now. We're about to reach wave number 100. There are massive fissures that are beginning to take place in Israel. Here was the site of some of the strikes on Israel today. Massive plumes of smoke were seen rising from Tel Aviv. We had several automobiles which were impacted in the strike, so I guess a sincere inability is beginning to rise of the Zionists being able to drive to their bunkers. Here you see some of the strikes on automobiles which took place today. The Israeli Army General Staff headquarters and the Ministry of Security in Tel Aviv were damaged as a result of the bombing today by Iran. This is according to Israeli Army Radio. We also have massive strikes on some structures within Tel Aviv, the greater Tel Aviv area, as you can see here. And all of this culminated in something that we hadn't seen up until today in Israel. This was in Tel Aviv tonight. It only lasted for a few short hours. We had protests finally taking place in Israel calling for an end to the war. Now, of course, these protests are not for any sort of moral reasons. These Zionists are not morally outraged that their government is committing these heinous war crimes on a daily basis against Iranian civilians. These are the people who, for years, for decades, they said, we hate the Iranian government, of course, but our problem is not with the Iranian people. Our problem is not with the Iranian. This is what they've always said. we want to liberate the Iranian people. They want to liberate the Iranian people. That's why they're bombing, their beloved leaders. That's why they're bombing bridges. That's why they're bombing gas and oil infrastructure in Iran. That's why they're bombing pharmaceutical centers. That's why they're bombing medical centers, hospitals, schools, dormitories of universities. They care about Iranian women so much that they are bombing the women's dormitories at universities in Tehran, and they're bombing elementary schools. They're bombing, you name it, bombing just about anything that is a civilian target, as they say in Iran, to try and I don't even know. I don't even know what the goal is. Regime change, of course, but you can't bomb your way into regime change. That's what they think, though. So anyways, there's no moral outrage. They are outraged, though, that they have to get into these bunkers like every 30 minutes, every 60 minutes. They are outraged about that. They are outraged about the fact that the Iron Dome has completely failed. There is no Iron Dome left. They are outraged that they're living in, moderate to high levels of discomfort because they don't know if the next Sejal missile is going to be aimed at a military location next to where they live, because Israel, of course, uses their own citizens as human shields. They're outraged. They're outraged that this war is ongoing. They're outraged that they can't just be Zionist settlers occupying this illegally stolen land without any sort of ramifications. They are outraged that somehow or another their actions finally kept up with them. They finally had to reap what they sowed. They're outraged over the fact that they don't like the war that they ordered. They are outraged over the fact that they picked a fight with a country, a military that has stronger capabilities in certain I guess sectors than they do. And they have to deal with that now, but they can't. So the Zionists came out in protests tonight, but they were shut down. Israeli police forces shut down the protests, calling for an end to the Iran war. This was in Haifa and Tel Aviv tonight. In fact, we saw that during the protests, I don't think I can show you the full video, but during the protests, we saw one of these protesters get assaulted by the police. The guy was just calling for an end to the war. I'm sure most of these people, by the way, were cheering, celebrating when Khamenei was martyred. When they started the war, they were cheering, celebrating, posting about how amazing it was. But now they say, no, we don't want this. We don't want to have to live with the ramifications of the decisions that we made collectively. Well, Israeli police shut down these protests. They beat citizens who were protesting to end the war. And then the protest got shut down once and for all because Iranian missile strikes came in. Actually, Iranian, Yemeni, and Lebanese resistance all launched a joint attack. And the settlers who were protesting had to flee to the shelters once more, I guess in their eyes, justifying their position in protesting on the street. So the city of Haifa, protests ended tonight, courtesy of the IRGC Aerospace Forces. Probably the first time that the Israeli government ever wished they could thank the Iranian government publicly, because it protected them from these protests getting any bigger. But here's what I think. I think that these protests are not going to come to an end. I think these protests are only going to get bigger and bigger. I saw a story this week that Israeli citizens, there's a phenomena sweeping across the Zionist entity where Israeli citizens are eating out at restaurants a lot right now. And what happens is, as soon as the bomb raid sirens go off, they get up and run away to the bunkers and they leave without paying their bill. And this is causing a really big problem in Israel because, like, small business owners, restaurant owners all across the Zionist entity are having to, siphon thousands of dollars each and every day because so many times throughout the day, people are coming back, buying food and just not paying for it. So, that's all fun and games, I guess, for some Zionists for an extended period of time. But at a certain point, the fissures grow too big. The cracks begin to open to a point where they realize they're falling into an abyss, and there is no real return. They realize that Iran is not running out of missiles, as so many of the Zionist propagandists online like to claim. You know, they always post something a day when Iran doesn't do a lot of strikes. They say, Iran did 100 strikes on day one, and now they did only 20 today. That must mean they're running out of missiles. And then, like, the next day, it's like the largest strikes thus far, largest missiles thus far. They hit Israeli military bases, general staff headquarters, whatever it may be, military production factories. So here's what Israelis need to understand. No, the war is not ending. Trump is not going to beg and plead for, this war to end. He's not going to do that. He's not going to offer some legitimate peace deal. Your government surely is not going to do that. Your government is waging a war against Lebanon right now and getting cooked again against the Lebanese resistance. It's the same thing every single time they try to go into the south of Lebanon. I mean, they've held it before for a little bit. And what happens? I mean, they can never hold on to it forever. It's just impossible. It's impossible. Now they're beginning to realize that maybe they can't hold on to their own country forever either. Because as a byproduct of their own decisions, their neighbors are not going to tolerate this behavior any longer. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.